Hold your head up high and breathe a smile.
I come up here, I still get shivers. I think, I can't believe how close this place came to total annihilation. Everything would have been gone. I look around and, you know, see little kids climbing up trees and people sitting. They have no idea how close this place came to just not being here. We would have looked around and seen 20 tatty little townhouses.
Wyreena was originally a family home built in the 1920s. Then in the 1950s it became a convent.
The Catholic Church decided to sell it. My first contact was with the caretaker of the property here, dear old fellow, Alphonse Kelly. He was in a wheelchair. He used to parade around the grounds and it was his baby. He looked after it. And when he heard it was up for sale, he was devastated because he couldn't bear to think that the developers were going to come in and bulldoze the whole place. He got a few of the local people that live in the surrounding streets to join him, and they said, what'll we do? And they thought, we'll go to the local Arts Council, which I was the vice president of at the time, and they told us about this property and they said, would it be an idea if it was a community arts centre? We all got excited. We came and saw it and we thought, beauty. Being a potter, I was keen on a place where we could have a pottery studio. The film group, the local leatherwork people, the gemology group, the ballet society, we all got together and we had a lot of people, you know, we could all have, there's room for everybody. And took it to council and of course they said no. So we just kept refining our submissions to council. I went into town and met all sorts of people. Everyone thought it was a wonderful idea except Croydon Council. Time and time again we'd change our story, we'd have a different slant, we'd talk to different people. We just kept getting knocked back. And then gradually as time went on, the council kept saying no, no, no. A lot of people fell away because they haven't got time to keep pursuing it. I was asked to leave the Croydon Arts Council because they no longer were behind my persistence. And that was very hurtful because I loved the job. But, you know, we showed them. And in the finish, it was only a handful of us that were still pressing for the place, and we had to pretend to council that we had all these people behind us and there was only a few of us. One day, because we kept getting all these knockbacks, I stood up in Croydon Council at a very important stage of the meetings. I had a feeling that some of the councillors that were voting against the purchase of the property hadn't even seen the place. And I just they shouldn't do it, but I stood up and I said, I'd like a show of hands of how many of you councillors have actually seen the property you're voting against. And there was all this shuffling and nervousness, and I realised that they hadn't seen the place. So I said, before anything else is done, I would want all of us to meet up at the property. We'll show you around, then you can vote, and fair enough. But the council wouldn't buy it, so then the developers came in and bought it. Just to raise the whole thing with not a care about the history or the beauty of the place, I just couldn't let that go. With the help of 4 local politicians, they helped us get entree to the Premier of Victoria, Rupert Haver. Mad idea to get him out. Anyway, he said he'd come. He said, but it's got to be secret. I'll come out very early in the morning. And I thought, no one's going to believe we've had the Premier out here. So I phoned up the local paper and got a photographer and put him in the bush outside this White House where we are now, hid him in a big bush, and he sat there clicking away as the Premier arrived and was talking, and then the Premier heard the clicking of the camera and turned around and gave him a glare, and the camera just clicked. I apologised to the Premier and I said, we're so desperate. He was fine with it. And he said, over my dead body. He loved the property. He couldn't believe that Croydon was saying no to this. He thought about it and he said, I've got spare arts money left over that should be committed. He said, I'll give council 1 to 1. Every dollar they spend buying it back from the developers, the state government will give you another dollar. So we just thought, this is it. Croydon can't say no. But after the Premier went, the developers arrived later in the morning, and they just kept destroying everything, pulling trees down, because that was their job, you know, they were employed to do it. And I said, the Premier's just been, and we're going to buy the property back, you can all stop now. Well, they're not going to listen to anybody without authority from up on high. We couldn't get in touch with the Premier. It wasn't until about 4 that we got in touch with him and told him that all this destruction had been going on. We couldn't do anything about it. And so he was furious and slapped an injunction on the property then and there, and all work had to stop. We all went home that night. We were exhausted and sitting around. I had a few activists over at my place, and we had a few beers and some cheese, and I had a flagon of sherry, and we were sitting there thinking, we've done it, we've won, we've done it against all odds. Then the phone goes about 9 o'clock. The White House is on fire. So we thought, what? And we got into cars, and I grabbed the flagon of sherry and some little glasses and got in the back of the car, and we shot around here, and it was raining, and just soft rain, and I can still see the trees all lying over. A big cypress tree had been chopped down in the day. It was lying across the main drive, and we couldn't get in. We had to go around the side, and the fire trucks were here, and the back of the White House was ablaze. Fortunately, the building wasn't hurt, but this great pile of stuff was on fire, and the developers spitefully had set fire to what they'd cut down in the daytime, poured petrol over it and set fire to it. So the firemen were marvellous. They had it out in 2 minutes, and it was so surreal. The rain, the smoke, the fire, people were coming out of their houses and gathering, and I was handing out little sherries to people, just little, and then the firemen gave them a little sherry too. So that was an amazing night at the end of a terrible day. It was still drama. The Premier had been, and we got the surety of the money, and Croydon still said no. Terry Curley was one of the councillors that was for it, and he was terrific. He was on our side. He could see the future in it, and he had one last go, and he made a petition. He wrote a petition, and he got us to give it to everybody we could see, get everyone to sign it, and that was the turning point. That was when 1 or 2 of the councillors, we just needed 4 or 5 votes out of the 9 councillors, or about that many. They bought it, and then we had to run the place. Looking back, I thought, how mad, how crazy were we? Didn't you know when to stop? You know, it was over. Still can't believe it. I think, oh, they're going to take it, you know. Then I think, oh no, it's all right, it's safe. That was how deep it was.
You know, it's an incredible legacy, because now we have this amazing place that people, you know, thousands upon thousands of people each year come to Wyreena to participate in a whole range of things.
It's a triumph for people, thinking along the right lines and doing things for the right reasons. It's a tribute to what the community can do.
Hold your head up high and breathe a smile. We'll be in the lands we've never